Hi there, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. It's great to see you. This is Janine Sews. In today's video, I'll tell you about a couple of things that I've made, nothing overly complicated, what I'm planning to make, and because this is Friday Sews, a little bit about life at the end. As always, there are chapters down below if you would like to skip to a different segment of this video. I have sewn something, and this is a project that I brought with me when we went away. We are still away. It's another version of the Cashmerette Concord t-shirt, and every time I make this, I'm getting better at things like the neckband. The fabric that I used is 100% cotton Pointelle that I bought from Former and Latter Fabrics in Edmonton, Canada. They have some really beautiful fabrics. I also used a piece of their fabric for the top that I made for the holidays. I'm going to link that video up here. That was a satin finished cotton, and this Pointelle is 100% cotton, and it's a stretch. I've had Pointelle tops in the past. I think I've even had a Pointelle nightgown. It's a super soft fabric. I can certainly see making something to sleep in out of this. It's a very relaxed fabric, so this particular top has a very different fit from some of my previous Concord makes. Normally I use a cotton jersey. It's a little bit, I guess it's not really a firmer hand, but the fabric's a little bit thicker. And this is just very relaxed and loose. The only thing I changed this time is I just threw a plate down on the pattern piece and made the scoop a little bit higher, because I know from experience with ready-to-wear Pointelle, sometimes it can stretch out just a hair, so I'm hoping this doesn't. Oh, the only other thing I changed was I made the sleeves a little bit slimmer, because I think that better emulates a ready-to-wear look. So this is the main thing that I have sewn in the past couple of weeks. As I mentioned in my previous video, I am trying to not be pressured by myself into sewing a lot of garments. I don't need much in my wardrobe, but I want to have a curated list of things that I would like to sew. Because I want to sew, I enjoy sewing, I'm going to be sewing some little crafty things. And I did sew something crafty this week. I'm not a particularly crafty person. I've never worked with quilting cotton or anything like that. Never made a quilt. But I was sent a little pattern for several different stuffed animals, and I thought that I would try one of those as a way to just sew something that didn't take a lot of brain cells and practice sewing with quilting cotton. So I got a pattern for a little turtle. I think they call it a simple turtle from Mrs. Quilty. So I sewed this. And I just used the pre-cut fat quarters at Joanne, so it cost me next to nothing to make this. And we're staying at a friend's house right now. I may just leave this here as a little keepsake for them. But it was fun to pick out quilting cotton, and it's a challenge for me to work with 1/4-inch seam allowances and also making all these little feet and head and tails and things like that. So it was a good little challenge. It was a way to sew and not add something else to my wardrobe. In my last video, I showed you a few garments that I would like to make in the next little while, some things that are inspiring to me. One was a striped t-shirt, and I don't think I mentioned this in the last video, I did pick up a pattern for that. I'm going to pop that up here. I haven't even looked for fabric for that because I don't think it's going to be super easy to find exactly the stripes I want. Today, I went to Joanne and I went looking for a particular pattern that one of you mentioned that you thought might be good for this inspiration top that I found. I really liked the puffy sleeves and the button front. Those were the things in particular I was looking for. One of you suggested that I get New Look 6707. So I found this at a local Joann's. I'm going to talk about Joann's in a minute. And this has exactly what I want because it's got the V opening, button front, puffy sleeves, but not too puffy. So I picked this up. And then I don't have any fabric with me. So I grabbed a piece of fabric to make a wearable toile. And this is what I got. Isn't this pretty? 100% cotton. It's kind of like a shirting. It's a little crisper maybe than I would have originally selected, but I think this will tell me how much I like the puffy sleeves before I dive in and use a piece of tan lawn. I was prepared to pay full price for this, but it was on sale. It was 70% off today. I don't know for how long it's 70% off. So I only paid $8.92 for 1 3/4 yards of fabric. So with this and with the very affordable New Look patterns, this will be a rather frugal toile. And I'm hoping that it works because I do like that style of top. Joanne. So I went into one Joanne when I bought this fabric, and it was kind of in a sorry state. The one I went into today was in really good shape. They had new patterns. I don't know if they had the newest spring patterns, but they had lots of new fabric that was ready to go out on the floor. I'm assuming they have enough people to put things out on the floor. I just want to say, for the sake of all of you American viewers and friends, I really hope Joanne survives. It's always so surprising to me that there aren't more independent garment fabric stores in the States. And if you lose Joanne, it's going to be really hard because we all like to touch fabric. So I just want to say I'm thinking of you, and I'm hoping that someone comes in and turns Joanne into what it could be, which is a destination for fabric and patterns. I've kind of got all kinds of random things today. A few videos ago, I was talking about how I was going to wear color in the winter because it makes me happy. It makes me feel generally more optimistic, and it brightens up my face, brightens up my life, my attitude. And interestingly, about a week ago, there was an article on the BBC called How Scandinavian Dressing Can Make Us Happier. Scandinavians wearing a lot of color in the winter. I'm going to put a link to that down below, so if you're interested, you can read that article. Now, full disclosure, my mom was Norwegian. She made me wear crazy colors when I was a child. Maybe it's in my blood and it passed down to me. I just thought it was interesting that other people are thinking the same way as many of us are, that we want to have more color around us in the winter instead of bringing ourselves down, being surrounded by gray, black, brown, navy blue. It's been a pretty quiet couple of weeks. I mentioned the little turtle that I made. I'm going to work on, other than that top, I'm going to work on some little crafty things using quilting cotton in the next couple of weeks. Since I don't have my full sewing set up here, it's probably going to be easier for me to do things like that. And I honestly think it can only help sewing ability to learn how to sew really straight lines with small seam allowances. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Otherwise, it's just a pretty quiet time of year. Watching lots of hockey. Football is pretty much over. trying to get outside and walk as much as I can while I'm somewhere where it's nice to walk outside, because I won't be here for that much longer. And generally just kind of taking it easy and not having a bunch of chores to do, places to go to, which is a good and a bad thing. I like to stay busy, which is why I'm working on these different sewing projects. What are you working on this winter? Are you starting to think about spring? Are you sewing anything? Have you found any wonderful patterns? I would love to hear what you're working on and what's going on in your world. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're not a subscriber and you'd like to subscribe, I encourage you to hit the button and the bell and all of that. I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care and have a great weekend.